Speakers greetings Alliance, Critical Speaker Man here. Today we will be covering the many episode 78 leaks we've gotten during the first Skibidi drought. I'll be giving my thoughts, theories and predictions for the new episode now that we have received some fresh high quality leaks from Boom, which gives us more to work with. So let's theorise. Alright, over the past 2 months we have received a little over a dozen leaks and a few interviews for this new episode, and from what we know, Boom is only increasing the quality and effort he puts into each part, which is a good thing. It still shows he has a burning passion for this project, and considering all the recent merch and collaborations the brand has received, Boom and Invisible Narratives are finding new ways of spreading Skibidi Toilet beyond its roots as an internet web series. We saw this in other famous internet hits as well, like Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy Playtime, and much more. So Skibidi Toilet isn't falling off anytime soon, regardless of what the community believes. Part of the reason why people would think Skibidi Toilet is falling off, and why the episode has taken so long, is because of all this new merch and opportunities the brand has embraced. Boom would have needed to take time out of the episode to assist with those things on top of the unjust lawsuits and everything else that's happening behind the scenes, including the technical issues. Yeah, this is probably the first time Boom has overloaded Source Filmmaker so much that his frame rate in SFM is in the single digits. Boom has confessed these troubles in a few interviews with Ibio during the drought. Honestly, I'm glad he's separating the projects into parts and stitching it together in the editing process, as would reduce the chance of it crashing the decades-old program and potentially losing progress. He did say he is integrating new technologies into the animating process, but we don't know exactly what they do, but I'm sure we'll find out when the new episode airs. But let's move on to the leaks. Our first batch of leaks was received in February, but let's start with the Speakerman one. The speaker on the Speakerman is now glowing a bright red, which suggests they are now empowering their normal agents with their race's energy colour, similar to the 3.0 cameraman and a few outstanding members of the 2.0 cameraman era. The Speakerman also has a sort of helmet that covers the top half of his speaker, similar to their Titan after being upgraded by the Skibidis. I've seen a few people think it's Speaker Titan's speaker, but we can see 2 of the 4 screws of the normal Speakerman's speaker possesses, which debunks that theory. Now moving on to this image, we now know who this Astro is, thanks to the new leaks Boom provided. This Astro is the new Astro Hunter mutant, who is taking a bite out of an unlucky human who crossed paths with it. We can see it's the same Astro, as in both images it possesses a cog on the back of their body, and the helmet bears a similar shape. Just in this early leak, the helmet is retracted, similar to the ones we've seen before in other Astros. But why would it be eating this human? In fact, I think this is the first time we have seen an Astro or Skibidi consume another living organism. Could this Astro be an animal, similar to Juggernaut's dog? If that were the case, it would explain the odd and mechanical looking hands it possesses. Additionally, we can see it wears a similar helmet to the ones found on Juggernaut and his dog. So could this hunter be part of Juggernaut's sub-faction? We'll talk more about that hunter later, but let's move on to the next leak, which is something less serious. It's just a dude cooking a steak. I don't know if this is a reference to the popular streamer Steak or just a troll leak. Either way, this survivor will be eating good tonight. Moving on, we can see the chief camera engineer with 2 large cameramen standing next to him, almost like bodyguards. I touched on this topic in my previous video, but these large cameramen possess surveillance cameras instead of the movie ones we typically see on larger cameramen. I've got 2 theories of why they are this way. 1, they could be a regular cameraman in an exosuit of sorts to enhance their capabilities as bodyguards. 2, they could be a hybrid of large and regular cameramen, and potentially a future evolution of the cameraman race. If that's so, it would mirror the Skibidis' adoption of more mutant-based forces later into the Skibidi War, as they were moving away from just regular toilets. We can see they are both holding the new Astro Blasters that were scavenged from the battlefield, or reverse engineered by the cameramen. As for where the point of view is, it's likely they are in one of the many camera bases due to the similar doors. As to why the point of view is so large and tall, they could be on a platform or maybe being lifted by a machine. It's too early to know. And the last leak from the batch is a shot of Skibidi Kleiner with what is assumed to be other Skibidi scientists in the cameraman base when they arrived in episode 77. We can see from the still alone how much Kleiner has adopted and enhanced the Skibidi scientist's technology and look as his apprentice. His toilet now has more claws, tentacles, and overall a larger frame. Kleiner's eyes glow yellow, meaning he is, to our knowledge so far, a pure Skibidi, unlike the scientist's dodgy history of working with the Astros. One final thing I want to bring up is that the collar around his neck, which is something only the mutants and Astros possess, which is a whole other can of worms that I won't elaborate on in this video. Just know that it may yield some life-saving capabilities. Welcome back. Now it's time for today's sponsor, which is me. No, seriously, if you want to support me and Speakerbase, it would mean the world to us if you liked and subscribed, as it means my content can get pushed out to more people and maybe I can get some leaks from Boom directly, or collab with the larger Skibidi content creators in the future. But let's get back on track. If you haven't watched my previous video, at the end of it I discussed the Pablo leak and how it potentially hints at the YouTube content farms being canon to the series. If that's so, it would be another reason why Boom and his team are cracking down on the Gooner content for the sake of the brand and potentially the lore of the official Skibidi multiverse. I'll link it in the description if you want to check the video out. Now, let's move on to the high quality leaks we just got from Boom. Starting off with the first image, labelled Die when downloaded, we can see an Astro carrier looking devious at the point of view, while his face and the surrounding halo glow a blood red colour. Now, this reminds me an awful lot of the Astro Duchess. She too had a halo, albeit a more fancy and energized one, but the fact is, they could fulfill the same purpose of allowing the Astro to shoot a powerful burst of this red Astro energy from their eyes and mouth as an attack. It may not be as powerful as other Astro technology we've seen, but to the Astro and their status within the ranks, it would just be a fun and unexpected way of disposing Alliance members if given the opportunity. Boom mentioned in his February interview with Stake that the halos are a sign of status and royalty even. These halos wouldn't necessarily increase their strength, it just gives them another option for fighting larger threats, like a Titan for example. They could use it as a surprise attack, all thanks to that halo of theirs. Now, back to the Astro Mutant. The image is named Hunter 2 when downloaded. In this image we get a full display of the mutant. This is potentially the first Astro Mutant we have seen. Duchess doesn't really count as her body could be mechanical, allowing her to change forms depending on the task at hand, as Boom mentioned. But that's beside the point. It carries two energy blades on each arm that seem to be powered by whatever is behind that massive cog on his back. What that cog means, I'm not sure, but it could be a status symbol similar to the halos we just discussed. I mentioned earlier that this Hunter Mutant could be part of Juggernaut's faction, due to the similarities in their helmets. The helmet has a series of lights on the right side, which look similar to an animal's paw print. It's a popular theory that the units wearing this helmet are animal Astros, that are led by the Juggernaut, who himself may be an animal, as that was the case for his dog. Jimmy even mentioning that Astro Dog is Juggernaut's child. We will need to see Juggernaut with the mask off for full clarity, as some pet owners may consider their pets as children in some cases, but I'm getting sidetracked. The point I want to make is, I believe that this Astro Mutant is an animal, and is related to Juggernaut's faction, based on its helmet designation and the mere act of consuming potential prey. I'm pretty sure in this monarchy of Astros, it would be quite unseemly and unclean for one of their royals to consume such lesser life forms, in comparison to them. It may even bring shame or a bad reputation, even if they don't necessarily care about life on other planets. Maybe the reason why Juggernaut and his dog wear these gas masks is to act as a sort of muzzle, to stop or prevent their animalistic urges to consume these inferior life forms, on top of the other benefits such as anonymity and the filtration of lethal gases and particles. The Astro Hunter Mutant, on the other hand, may not care. It could even be a bit freaky, and use the act of eating this human as an intimidation tactic, forcing others into hiding and generally lowering morale. The Astro animals like Juggernaut and his dog are smart. They can communicate, fight and strategize, but we've seen them all act more impulsively and animalistic in the face of adversity. often lashing out unrelentingly as if backed into a corner rather than attempting to reason or rethink their tactics until they are either humbled or defeated. But this animalistic drive may serve a unique and tactical role. That role was demonstrated in episode 75 by the Astro Dog, which leads me on to what this animal faction's purpose in the Astro fleet could be. This Juggernaut faction could be made up entirely of dog Astros. The Astro units would need smaller units like Astro Hunter and the Astro Dog to destroy or flush out hiding Alliance members from cover, so they are easy pickings for the bigger and higher rank Astros outside, similar to how hunting dogs are used for flushing out and startling game in real life. The Juggernaut faction could be hunting dogs to entertain the Royal Astro's target practice, which could explain why the large Astros take so much pleasure in levelling entire cities and annihilating the inferior. It's just an interesting thought I had. But moving on. The next image when downloaded is called Inferno, and I can't help but realise how similar this formation looks to the one in episode 70 before the empowered Speaker Titan went ham on the Skibidis. I'm not saying Speaker Titan will be ready to fight in this episode, but the scene could play out in a similar way, with these Astros being annihilated by someone or something from the Alliance. I could be completely wrong, and it could just be another sobering scene of how outgunned the Alliance is, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up we move on to Larry. I like John more. We see the smiley TV man from episode 40, who now goes by the name Larry, is sitting in a similar fashion to the famous "This is fine" meme. Larry has been repaired after the initial raid on the TV base and now carries the same arm blades as TV Woman and the Energized TV Man, on top of having a jetpack. One detail I think most will overlook is the fact that his jacket is undone. The TV men are often dressed in very obscuring and protective clothing to hide and protect themselves from the outside, unlike the cameras and speakers who dress more loosely, so the fact he has undone his trench coat means the TV men could be connected more emotionally to the Alliance and aren't afraid to hide themselves away anymore. Likely due to the disaster at their base and the loss of their Titan means they will be closer than ever before. As for the cake, I'm not sure. Someone's going to find a way to link it to the Portal series and state, the cake is a lie, so the TV man is a spy for the agent. I don't know. I know I look too deep into things, but this would be too far for me. With a handful of leaks to go, we now move on to the next image, called Shoot when downloaded. It's just a lot of Astros with a lot of guns. That's about it. It could be a sub-faction of Astros designed to shock on all opposing forces, but what could they be shooting at that requires that much firepower? Maybe a Titan? It's too early to know, but leaks like this make me excited for the new battles we will witness in the new episode. The final high quality leak is called Smoke when downloaded. This shot looks very cinematic, and we can see a large cameraman that, based on the weaponry, could be Fred from episode 77, carrying an Astro sample or something of that nature. But we need to ask what created this smoke cloud to begin with. A building collapse, the fall of a large Astro, or an explosion? Only time will tell. Well, that about does it for the episode 78 leaks. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this informative and interesting. The March What the Skibidi is coming soon, and the Colour Theory video script is almost complete. In the meantime, we've got new merch and an episode to look forward to. So, remember to stay critical, Alliance, and I'll see you next time.
Innovate yourself.